Good day, Country Club Hills residents. I'm Eric Booker, and I'm here once again with Yolanda Johnson. She is a tax professional, and she's been here on the program a couple of other times before and appeared on our social media sites. And she has a wealth of information that we have enjoyed here on Channel 4, as well as on WYCA. It's Rejoice 102.3. On Saturdays. The name of her program is Tax Matters with Yolanda Johnson, and that's Saturdays at 11:30. And then she's also appearing on WVON 1690, and as well as iHeartRadio. We'll let her give you all of the very, very intimate details as well as where to find her. But first, thank you so much for coming back to talk with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Indeed. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Happy tax season.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of the new year, this is a season where folks are talking about resolutions and sort of, getting their lives together financially, personally, relationally, on a number of levels. But let's talk about the organization piece. That's something that's kind of dear to me. I'm all about organization. And certainly in preparing your tax documents, there should be a strong element of organization. So let's start the program with talking about just some organizational habits that we should demonstrate in preparing for tax season.
Well, I'm glad you brought up New Year resolutions
Yeah.
and tax resolutions and finances,
Mm-hmm.
because when people think finances, most of the time they think budgeting,
Mm-hmm.
they think about reducing expenses,
Yeah.
increasing their income, things of that nature. But one of the biggest factors to how much money you actually have to spend are your taxes.
Okay.
The amount of taxes that we pay, it definitely impacts our net income on our paychecks.
Okay.
It definitely impacts the bottom line for our businesses, how much money is left over after expenses. Taxes is one of those line items that we definitely need to put in there. But oftentimes people think about taxes last. However, if we think
True.
about it first and get those tax savings in place, then that is one great way to make sure that we stay on budget and know how much we will have.
All right. So what are some ways that people can actually organize? Let's talk specifics now. What are some specific ways that people can organize their tax records?
Well, the first thing I encourage people to do is make sure that before you file your tax returns that you have all of your tax records.
Okay.
And even if you believe that the income isn't taxable, if it's a tax document that is mailed to you,
Okay.
make sure that you give that to your tax preparer. And most of those documents are not required to be mailed until January 31st. You
Gotcha.
just have to mail it on or before January 31st.
Okay.
So sometimes give yourself that first week in February just in case those documents are still coming in the mail. And then also, there are some commonly forgotten forms.
I was going to
that
ask you
many
about
people-
that. Yeah.
There's some commonly forgotten forms that many people forget about,
Okay.
such as your interest and your dividend forms. A lot of banks aren't paying a lot of interest right
Okay,
now.
yeah.
So oftentimes, because the interest amounts are very small amounts, or people may not realize that they're receiving it, they may not realize that you're supposed to get a tax form. So
Okay.
if you have a bank account or you have stocks that are paying dividends, definitely check with your bank or the brokerage firm to make sure they have not mailed a tax document out to you, or that they're not going to mail one before
Okay.
you file your returns.
Gotcha.
Another commonly forgotten form are the 1098-T forms
Okay.
that students receive for the tuition that was billed to them during the year. And many parents may not realize that that form should be on their tax return because the form comes in the name of the student.
Oh.
So oftentimes parents may take that 1098-T form that they receive from the college or university and mail it to their children to file their tax returns.
Okay.
But if your child is in school, in college, and they're going to be on your tax return,
Okay.
even though that form has their name on it, you should definitely file that form with your tax return,
I got
as
you.
opposed to them using it on their return.
That's sort of one thing that comes to mind in this season that we're in. And if we could just shift gears just a little, is identity theft. I have a personal experience within maybe the past couple of weeks. I was a victim of identity theft. It was as the Christmas holiday was approaching, and someone secured my information and purchased some high-end Italian clothing I immediately knew it wasn't for me.
Okay.
But there is actually a role that the IRS plays in identity theft. So talk a little bit about that.
Yes, identity theft is definitely a very big issue right now, as well as for taxes.
Okay.
There's a lot of identity theft with taxes. It has become a little bit better in the last few years because the IRS has definitely put some barriers in place to those identity thieves. However, those barriers may cause some additional processing time on our end, but that's fine because we just want to make sure that our taxes are prepared correctly by the right person. But if you have been a victim of identity theft, you should definitely report that to the credit bureaus and also report that to the Internal Revenue Service.
Okay.
If you've already reported that to the Internal Revenue Service, what they will do is they're going to issue what they call a PIN number each year.
Okay.
And it's an identity protection PIN number that you're going to use every year when you file your tax returns.
Okay.
So those forms generally go out around January 1st of each year. So when you're about to file your return, if you have reported identity theft to the IRS, definitely wait for that PIN number to come in the mail each year before you file your returns.
And then another thing that I think we talked a little bit about this in our last program, and that's just being aware of your tax deadlines. There's more than one. A lot of us just think April 15th, and that's all the dates, information that we need to know, but there's apparently more than just the April 15th deadline. So cover a little bit, if you will, on some of the common tax deadlines.
Sure, not a problem. This particular year, the deadline for individual tax returns is going to be April 17th.
Okay.
Instead of April 15th, because there is the 15th is going to fall on the weekend, and then that Monday is a holiday in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So this year, for those of us that wait until the 15th to file our returns, we get an extra 2 days. We get an extra 2 days to file that return this year.
Yeah.
But what I just want people to be mindful when you file your returns, if you need an extension and you want to extend that deadline out until October 15th.
Okay.
That extension will only extend the failure to file penalty.
Okay.
It does not extend the failure to pay penalty. So even if you extend your tax return, it's very important that if you believe you're going to have a balance due, that you pay as much of that balance due before April 17th as possible.
Guys, we're talking with Yolanda Johnson, tax professional. She's the host of Tax Matters on Rejoice 102 FM. She's also appearing on WVON, and we're going to talk about that in our second segment. But we want to take a quick break right here and give you a chance to let some of your friends, neighbors, family, like they say, know that we're actually bringing you some great information as it relates to your taxes in 2018. So guys, we invite you to stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break.